Aloha, this is Samana. This is my podcast number 33. I am doing this one called Process Makes Perfect. We all have a lot of healing to do, and making room to process when it comes up, not when it's convenient, is a life skill I recommend to cultivate. It is said, practice makes perfect. So this week's podcast is how to heal past wounds and learn how to identify when you are triggered and ways to navigate through your highest growth and healing. Any of you that know me knows that one of my styles for teaching is, of course, to share my personal experiences. This helps some people see as I walk you through the steps that they can identify it in more of a detached way and get their own lessons from it. So, people learn from example, and hearing someone else's specific journey and struggles often gives us enough distance from our own pain to actually be able to see what is possible and how to gain personal tools ourselves. One fact I will say is our mind is a curse and a blessing. It is capable of seeing exactly what it needs to see in order to propel us forward into a specific path. The subconscious interprets what it needs to understand and process and integrate painful moments. It will make up what it needs to. So often a current event happens and we will interpret it a specific way, and the trigger, which is happening currently because of the circumstance, is in essence from a wound from a long time ago. And what's happening is it's now ripped open, and it feels like it's right here. It's happening right now. The intensity is as if now whatever happened is what caused the wound. And the difference from something that is current that hurts you, to know that is just, you feel it in your heart, it hurts, and you know what was said. And that's painful, and you acknowledge that, and you grieve, and you express and go through your process. But when it's something that's more so stemming from a long time ago, what happens is, it's almost like, I used to describe it like a cobra is squeezing your inside. So your center core of your body is very tight. And you feel sensations in the body, usually tightness in the jaw, around the throat, the heart, the stomach. When I'm working with clients and they talk about something that's painful or traumatic, I actually want to bring their awareness to where is the sensation in the body, because there's more chance of healing the seed of it when we could track that. So, a little bit about how this processing works. So, given the opportunity, in a sense, what we're doing is time traveling. We're going back to the origin of the initial wound, and we're tracking it all the way to this present moment. So, I am not saying whatever happens currently that sets you off was okay, because apparently it did hurt, or it did. It was a similar theme, and the difference of it just feeling bad and you going through it and discussing it and moving forward is, you know, it's from a long time ago because it's such an overreaction. So now I do want to say one thing. When we are in that triggered state, as human beings trying to be conscious, it is imperative to notice you're triggered and walk away and say, I'm not able to talk right now. my actions would not be something I'd be proud of at this point. I'm not clear about what I'm feeling. Let me just give me some time. Whoever you're talking to, just like honor that until the tightness, the physical sensations dissipate and you can get a little more clarity into what's happening and then discuss it with the person that was your catalyst. That is how you'll get breakthroughs instead of breakdowns, is wait till the sensations of the tight subside. I call it the storm. When we're in the storm, we can't see anything. When the storm rests, when it settles, there's a little more clarity. And that could take hours, it could take days, it could take a week or so. But again, when engaging with someone else, because we don't want to trigger their abandonment stuff, most of us all have abandonment stuff, to just say, I'm feeling a lot of pain and I want to be clear about what's happening. So give me a little bit of time and I'll come back to you. And then that helps that. But I want to share a personal example I recently went through, and maybe this will benefit some of you. So this past full moon was 20 degrees Leo, which was exactly opposite my natal moon of 20 degrees Aquarius in my 4th house. So any of you knowing any astrology, any listeners out there, this is big. It means that it was the opposite of my feeling state. It was going to pull me out of what was my comfort zone into a whole polarized view of things. So I think it was just waiting for a catalyst. So each time we have a full moon, it's always in a specific sign in a specific degree. And if you understand your chart a little bit, in a sense it acts, the full moon is a flashlight. It's like a big light that you're exposing a dark shadow area. So depending on where it falls in your chart, that will give you an indication of for the next 30 days from that full moon to the next one, like what is the flashlight being shined on. So mine was the 4th house, which has to do with the home, the soul, the mother, things having to do with nurturing and all of those things. Anyways, so sometimes these are gentle insights and some of them knock you over. And we get to see how skilled we are at regaining our balance in what amount of time. I would say it's not about being knocked down, it's about how quickly we get up. In time, a skilled person who cultivates their life tools and wants to be conscious and not inflict their pain on someone else because they're hurting so much they just want to blast other people. So I don't want to cause more pain to those around me, especially because it's never warranted and we're all in enough pain and confusion. I want to wait until I get a sense of myself to a point where I could articulate it. Anyway, so again, when we practice self-care and these life tools that I talk about in every week's podcast and how I counsel and teach, these are what helps in the moment when we're triggered, when the pain is up for us. So my issue was deep. It had to do with soul and self-worth, questions like, what is my value? Do I matter? What am I valued for? So as humans, we put these projections outside of ourselves onto whomever our most intimate mirror is in our day-to-day life. If this is your partner or a family member or a friend or a roommate, whatever, they become your greatest reflection. So I had an encounter with my dear, deeply loved friend. We were working together. Everything was fine, talking. The last 5 minutes of a wonderful time turned into a misunderstanding or misinterpretation by my wonderful subconscious that was ready to propel me into this full moon catalyst, because my old wound from a long time ago was ready to surface and be looked at. So when something triggers us currently, what is happening is the stronger we are, the more the more stability we gain within ourselves and strength inside. That is when it's time for these things to come up, for us to look at and review them again, so that we can bring light and love and awareness to it, to a long ago dark place that was unowned, unclaimed. And this is where we'll then gain the wisdom that's been waiting for us. I believe all pain has a seed of teaching and wisdom in the center of it, like a crystal. And if we have the courage, and when we have the courage to face and review these pains, and we actually have the ability, because of our own cultivation of self-tools, to look at this pain that happened decades ago sometimes, then we can see what is the lesson or the teaching that it's presenting to us that we're ready to integrate and have as part of us, and to free up that part of our life that is blocked, that is stuck, that is shadow. And we often, when there are shadows, when there are unconscious parts of us, so again, unconscious means not aware of, we will have mechanisms or behaviors or thought processes that prevent us from going further. So, this time, one of my wounds came out, and it needed to have light shed on it and be freed once and for all. So, if you handle your process properly and organically, you too will bring a new sense of wisdom and freedom and spaciousness, and a new behavior will occur, a new thought process. So, back to my story. I said goodbye to my friend, and instantly, from the last minutes of our exchange, I felt this tightness in my heart, my stomach, and my throat. So, as I said, my meditation practice of anchoring sensations in the body as opposed to thoughts in the mind, it showed me, I knew, I'm triggered. So I was conscious enough that I decided to email, because I wanted a direct question of what I was assuming, instead of this assumption that my subconscious took on. And I didn't have the courage to call directly, and I just emailed. And however, because this was from my past, so I was actually scared. It's as if I'm this child again. I was scared. So, but my conscious speck of me needed to investigate reality, as they say, before I escalated. So I even wrote that in the email, before I escalate, something that I saw, or when we said this was my assumption. And can you clarify that for me? So, my friend said this would be best done in person or on the phone, but as I said, I wasn't able to do that. So I was honoring what I was able to do. And so I read his reply, and again, the wound from long, long ago was now open and bleeding. I interpreted his reply to propel the escalation, because it was not quite able to come in the way I needed it to. So there was still this sense of rejection and isolation and abandonment, all these things coming up. So I was getting worse. I proceeded to do all the tools I know to soothe myself, to soothe my pain, which by the next day it was increased. And one of my good girlfriends left a message in the morning while I was making my coffee. And my first thought was, I'm tired, too tired to talk, and I'm not going to return the call. And then I noticed, wait a minute, I noticed that thought. That's a habitual response. And I'm going to call and just share what's happening with me. So I called her and proceeded to tell her what's happening from my interpretation and crying. And she said, I know you know what's best for you, and said goodbye. And I instantly texted her. I was so angry in that moment that I'm like, WTF, did you arrive at work? Or is my stuff too much for you? Or is this a one-sided friendship? And my anger was up now. And she instantly called back and said, in all the years I've known you, every time you get like this, you don't want to talk about it until you figure it out. So here I am, the master of self-care tools. That is how I've always handled my life. That is what I'm very gifted at helping others with, because I know all the techniques so well because I've done it so much. And now I'm finding within less than 24 hours, here are 2 people that are very close to me that I feel like they're not available for me, that they're bailing on me, that I don't matter to them, that who am I in their life, that is this one-sided. All those thoughts are spinning in my mind. So as she calls me back and says that, she says, I was respecting that. That's why I said goodbye. And this shocked me because she was correct. And I had to now look at, why is this coming up for me? 2 reflections, less than 24 hours, about me doing my own thing. So, this is important because all of life is finding a balance. The clients that come to me and the students, these are people that are totally focused on external validation and other people making them happy and making them feel certain ways and finding that sense of comfort. And I feel there's no security in that. And here I was, that I learned from a very young age to soothe myself. And I know all the tools. Let's just do it. And it's a matter of how much time will it take until I find balance. And then when I find balance, when I was in relationship, after I found balance, I'd go to my partner and say, this is what happened to me, and this is what I found from it. This was my discovery, or with friends or family members. But it was always after I took full responsibility and handled it myself. But I need to tell you, my imbalance, and here I am, so we're never too old to learn, was that I took all the responsibility on without acknowledging or allowing another person that I care about and trust in my life to be there, to be held accountable, to support me and nurture me and to be there for me. So this was all new for me, but that's what was coming up. So I'm doing this podcast because I'm clear enough out of my storm that I see that this is what happened. But you need to know that this started on a Thursday night. I think the full moon was Thursday. And it took me till when? No, Friday night. So Friday night is when I was still suffering. Like Friday, I went to the gym, I went to HEB, I did all these things. And I couldn't tell you what I bought at the store. I couldn't tell you what body group I worked on. I just, it was numb. It was blank. That's how much pain I was going through. So, I want to state that first, knowing what your needs are at any time, or at least knowing that you are in pain and not clear, and finding someone in your life you trust, and learning, this is me, and for any of you like me out there that are lone wolves, that are the strong ones, that are the healers, that are the ones that everyone comes to for help, For you, they call it the wounded healer, right? The wounded healer archetype. For you to go to another and ask another person to meet your needs, can you be there for me? So I was asking for validation on what makes me unique or valuable, and even after I was told by my friend, I couldn't hear it because I needed to continue going in this rabbit hole. I needed to continue my time travel to long ago, which I tracked it to when I was 11, and there was a lot of chaos when I was 11. My mom took off. I lived in this, strange home it was just kind of chaos. And I just had to make myself grow up quick. It was not the best time of my life, but here I was, this little 11-year-old. That's the one who misinterpreted. That's the one that felt hurt. That's the one that started to shut down and numb out and all those things. And I wasn't able to hear, even when 2 friends came back to me and said, okay, what do you need? So the childhood wound was too strong. Now, what I have seen is that was shades of, because of the past wound, me looking for that validation from another. And the truth is, not only do we have to see what makes us unique and lovable and worthy and valuable, and how I am different from anyone else on this planet, as a friend, as a mother, as a partner, as a daughter, as a sibling, all of that. And we need to know those things. And this would be a good exercise for some of you out there, writing a list of what makes you valuable, what makes you lovable, what makes you worthy, and see what you come up with. That's a wonderful journaling exercise. So, all of this happening, fast forward, this process led me to my friend texting me, the one with the original thing from Thursday night. Do you want me to come over and comfort you? And my mind said no, because that's my pattern, and I texted yes. And I realized, and then my other friend that morning said, okay, I'm done working. I have a little space in my schedule. What if I come over and give you a massage or something? And again, I said yes. So these are 2 yeses that I would never say in my past. And inside I'm feeling I'm this hot mess. I'm out of balance. This is so uncomfortable. I have no idea what I could give them back. All these thoughts. But the beauty was I was so aware of all the thoughts. So as much pain as I was feeling, that consciousness is always there, because I could see so clearly the old thought process, the belief system of probably why I stopped asking for anyone to be there for me from a young age. So here I am. I teach self-care, how to care for yourselves and establish true self-empowerment and autonomy without needing others' approvals. Yes, and what we need is to see what we are missing in our own growth cycle. So, as I said, they talk about the wounded heel syndrome. This is classic. We're all wounded. And let us process, release, and accept our frailties and our limitations. Let us all learn to open our hearts to allow a deeper connection with others, allow others to come in and soothe and comfort us. And if your pattern is always looking for someone to soothe and comfort you, then try to learn the other side of the scale of how to comfort yourself. I will say it is more challenging to be vulnerable when you feel like a hot mess and not clear, and wondering if and what makes you unique or lovable. Yet when we can answer these questions from our own discovery and validation, then when we ask a trusted friend or person that is close to us to anchor us, or to hold your hand through your emotional storm, I believe this is the ultimate human goal of the heart, is to be that open and transparent, to be that raw, to be that I am human. I don't know everything. That makes you lovable. That makes me want to put my arms around someone. So for me, it took a total of 3 days from the initial trigger to a lot of clarity. I need to say a week later, it's still unraveling. I could journal and journal and journal about this, and I have been every day, more and more that's coming up. So again, if we see these processes, these triggers, as taking us back to ancient times, like 11 years old for me, that's decades, it's as if that whole timeline from that 11-year-old little girl up to present day, that all that block, all that dark, all that shadow, all that lack of energy I had access to, that lack of clarity or knowledge or wisdom, it's all lit up. And the other thing it showed me is that so many times in my past that I felt family or friends or my partner wasn't available to me, I had to honestly look and see how much of that was true and how much was me not allowing anyone in to soothe me, because I learned a pattern and a habit of finding balance on my own. It was, you talk about a lightning bolt of a revelation. I mean, I want to go back to past partners, or anytime I rejected anyone or wouldn't let anyone in, or people that actually did love me or do love me, and say that I apologize that I wasn't able to let you in. It wasn't my nature. It was a mechanism. It was a guard of my heart that I didn't know about. Now, I turn that to a plus. As I said, I am a master. I have never met anyone, any other counselor, therapist, life coach, healer, psychic, whatever, that is as articulate and knowledgeable of self-empowerment, of self-realization, skills, self-tools, self-care, self-love as me, because I've learned to do it on my own. And now I get to be on the balance of that scale and allowing others in when I need help, to say, just come hold me, hold my hand, come make a meal with me. I'm lonely, let's play cards. Let's go for a hike. Can we talk? So, I love that. So, here I was with my initial trigger, and I did all my tools, my meditations, my journaling, I did inner child work, I was comforting myself, I exercised, I sat in nature, I did everything. The list goes on and on and on. And as I said, I didn't find any ease of my suffering until I asked for help to get my needs met. And that was what was coming up for me. That was the past wound, is the thought process, the belief system that nobody is there for me, that I have to do it all on my own. And that was false. So, there we are. So regardless if your support is from your partner, from your dad, your friends, your dogs, your cats, your fish, they're all there. And I learned as I time traveled to that young age that I created that belief system, that I am alone and figure it out on my own. And I learned the phrase, this too shall pass, when my pain was so great. It used to be my life mission statement. And then I'm like, wait, this doesn't have to be so hard. I have many people that care about me that are in my life, that I just need to expose myself and say, I'm not that balanced right now, and have my friend come over and have dinner with me and all of this. So eventually, doing my personal life tools, it all will pass and find balance and peace again. Yet understanding the belief system that closed this door to a large part of my heart and this beautiful moon and my cultivated inner stability says that the love and support I've created around me, let me go back and open that ancient door, and I now have access to this part of my heart. So I've always had a very strong inner vision, and every time I go through things, my Saturn return, deep processes, I get these images that my subconscious shows me, and it helps me understand what's actually happening. So this time it showed me this huge, empty, dark room with cobwebs and dark and dusty, and clearly it hasn't been inhabited in decades. And I went into this dark room and I saw this, and I'll tell you, my valued listeners, that the image of a locked chamber, this was representative of my heart, and I believed would not be filled, so let's close it off. That was the belief system. No one's going to be there for me, so I'm going to close it off and live as fully as I can in this little small area of my heart and master that. So I see later, a week or so, that this chamber is a huge part. It's filled with light, it's filled with love, it's filled with tenderness, and I've moved in 100%. And exactly one of my favorite philosophers, Aristotle, stated a universal law that nature abhors a vacuum. And this means that every space in nature needs to be filled. So I just found a hell of a large auditorium or a vacuum in my heart. And I am so excited understanding this universal law that it now will be filled because I'm aware of it. And I will keep you posted as this unravels and presents itself, as nature will flood in. And my circle of people and support and all of these things will keep increasing and intensifying. My capacity to love, to feel loved, to be loved is so much more. So much more. So I love that. So until the next storm comes, I guess, and I will know what to do then, but I will be calling those that I love and say, okay, will you hold my hand even when I don't know what to say? So let me add a few specifics on processing. First off, be kind to yourself. Don't push yourself to do anything before you can, meaning don't talk when you can't. Don't call that person back because you feel that tight. Don't distract or drink or avoid or be a workaholic or any of the mechanisms we do. Just notice that something is happening, something is tight in you, and this in reality is a blessing and an opportunity. God and the universe is saying you have created a sense of stability, and you are going to dive deep, and you are given the opportunity to clear away an old painful wound that previously has prevented you from moving forward to your fullest expression. So when you're triggered, recognize that. When you feel these intense emotions, take a pause. Do not lash out. You will feel bad about that. People they don't have it. Don't be mean. People are having a hard enough time anyways. Let's just bring them hugs and love. And when you can't do that, then step back until you can. And give it a moment till you have a little more clarity when something is happening. Write, text, email to a friend. I'm struggling. I'm not clear what's happening right now. I just know I'm in pain. And then try to figure out what you need or who you need to help anchor you through this emotional storm. Or call me. I do this for a living. I do counseling. I love it. I've had many people call me in the middle of their storm. We start our session, and my prices are reasonable, so remember that. So, don't let your fears keep you from reaching out either to claim yourself, if that's the end of the scale that you're always looking to others, or if you're on the other side and you need to reach out for support. And remember that you are the main role of your life. You're the star of your life. You're not a supporting actor. So you are the star. So I see process as God's merry-go-round. And when it's in front of us, like, give it 100% attention. Like, I have canceled clients and stopped things just for a day or two because I'm like, okay, something's coming up. I could tell because my mind's not clear. I could tell because I just want to escape and watch TV or sleep, or I'm tired. And that tired is sadness coming up. And I just know, okay, let's do our tools. Let's do some work. Let's see what's here, because it's like this merry-go-round that goes around and around, and right now it's in front of you, and you have that opportunity to jump on that horse and to say, okay, this is all that matters to me. God is saying it's up for you. Let's do it now, because if that door passes and you don't ride right now, who knows when it will come up again? It could be a week, it could be 15 years. So I believe it's the most important thing is to be clear and clear the past away. I want to be 100% awake, aware, available for those who need me, for myself, knowing what I'm feeling in the moment that it's happening. So avoid distractions and not allowing the love to rise up and saturate within you. Learn that everyone is a reflection, and that they are our teachers, and to cultivate trusting relationships. So now, my life coaching, you could look me up at spaluna.com, spaluna.com, or call or text 808-283-7587. I walk my talk. I've helped facilitate and change many lives, and I will continue until my time is done here. So join me in one-on-one sessions, and I'm also doing a 30-day self-empowerment program. And for anyone out there that needs transformation, and we will do 2-hour sessions online or in-house. I have one coming up on the 26th of March on a Thursday night from 7 to 9 in South Austin, and then the next 3 Thursdays, and that's $300. Or if we do a one-on-one online, that's $500. And for any of you healers out there, you wounded healers that are like life coaches or nurses or massage therapists, estheticians, whatever you are, and you want to really help your clients in a deeper way, I have a quite an extensive intake, and we're going to do a similar thing where we do a physical detox, a cleanse for the body. We do the mind, the emotions, the spiritual. I'll give you life tools, and whichever areas you're not so clear on, I'm actually going to help to address that specifically for your own healing, and also so you could help your clients more effectively. And I am doing a dermaplaning the end of June in Maui for any of you listening out there. So I'm only taking 10, so call me soon and book your deposits, your space. So it's $250 for that. And what else am I doing? Oh, and David Garrison and I are doing our Be a Relationship Architect Intensive. That is Saturday and Sunday, March 21st and 22nd. That is normally $300 or 2 people for $5, and we are doing an early bird special until March 10th, I believe, which is going to be $220 for 1 person or $400 for 2 people. But again, that is limited space. We do that out of my home in South Austin, and if you're listening off island, you can, or excuse me, not off island. I'm not in Maui anymore. If you're listening outside of Austin, I do rent rooms on booking.com if they're available, and I'll give you a deal, so contact me. And I just want to make a final comment here that many of us have wounds and feelings that we weren't loved or supported growing up, and we just need to look at that question to see that, was it that people were not in our life to love us and support us, or was it the protected part of ourselves that wouldn't allow people in? So those are important questions to do that ruthless self-honesty and to really see that where is your area that needs a little more cultivation and healing and love. And I say do your work. Process makes perfect. Don't fear it. Have a hand to hold. And blessings to all of you. Aloha.